History is written by the victors. Its grand narrative is one of empires rising, of kings and queens, of monumental achievements. But what happens when there are no victors? What happens when civilization itself collapses, and the only record left is a whisper of the storm that brought the end? Around 1200 BC, the world was dominated by Titans. The mighty Hittite Empire, the glorious Mycenaean palaces of Greece, the vast trade networks of the Eastern Mediterranean. It was a golden age of wealth, power, and culture. And then, in the space of a single generation, it all burned. Cities turned to ash. Empires vanished. Literacy was lost for centuries. The cause? A mysterious and terrifying confederation of raiders, known to history by a single chilling name given to them by their victims, the Sea Peoples. To understand the cataclysm, we must first understand the world that was lost. The Late Bronze Age was the first truly globalized era. This wasn't a world of isolated kingdoms. It was a complex, interconnected system. The great kings of Egypt, Hatti, and Babylonia called each other brother. They exchanged lavish gifts, signed treaties on baked clay tablets, and married each other's daughters. Their economies were fueled by a demand for one critical resource, bronze. And bronze requires both copper, found in places like Cyprus, and tin, which was imported from as far away as modern-day Afghanistan. This vast trade network was the lifeblood of the great empires. Their palaces were not just royal homes, they were bureaucratic centers, tracking every last bushel of wheat and ingot of metal. But this intricate system, this marvel of civilization, was also incredibly fragile. Like a house of cards, if you remove one key support, the entire structure is threatened with collapse. Our most vivid and most terrifying account of the Sea Peoples comes from the victor who claimed to have stopped them, Pharaoh Ramesses III of Egypt. On the walls of his mortuary temple at Medinet Habu, he carved a story of invasion and war in stone and hieroglyphs. He tells of a conspiracy, a great movement of peoples from the isles in the midst. He inscribed, "The foreign countries made a conspiracy in their islands. All at once the lands were removed and scattered in the fray. No land could stand before their arms, from Hatti, Kode, Carchemish, Arzawa, and Alashia on, being cut off at one time." This description is crucial. The carvings at Medinet Habu show that these were not just armies, they were a people on the move, bringing their women and children with them in cumbersome carts. This was a migration, a desperate search for a new home. Ramesses tells of two great battles, a land battle fought somewhere in Canaan, and a climactic naval battle fought in the mouths of the Nile Delta. The Egyptians, masters of the Nile, used their river to their advantage. They lured the Sea People's fleet into the narrow channels of the Delta, turning it into a kill box. Ramesses claimed a glorious victory, boasting of slaughtering the invaders and enslaving the survivors. Egypt survived, but it was a Pyrrhic victory. The effort of repelling the invasion exhausted the empire, and it would soon enter a long period of decline. Egypt had held back the storm, but the rest of the world had drowned. While the Egyptian accounts are vivid, they are also propaganda. To find the true story, we must turn to the silent stones of archaeology. And they tell a grim tale. Take the prosperous port city of Ugarit in modern-day Syria. It was a cosmopolitan hub, a center of trade and learning where the first alphabet was invented. Archaeologists there discovered a thick layer of ash and destruction, dated to the early 12th century BC. But they also found something incredible. A kiln filled with clay tablets that were being baked when the city fell. One, a desperate letter from Ugarit's king to the king of Alashia, or Cyprus, reads, "My father, behold, the enemy's ships came here. My cities were burned, and they did evil things in my country. The 7 ships of the enemy that came here have inflicted much damage upon us. It was a message in a bottle, a final desperate plea for help that never arrived. It's the same story across the region. The great Hittite capital, Hattusa, was violently destroyed and abandoned. In Greece, the mighty citadels of Mycenae, Pylos, and Tiryns all fell. The sophisticated linear B script used by the palace administrators vanished completely. Greece plunged into a dark age that would last for 400 years. The evidence is undeniable. An entire world, from Greece to Anatolia to the Levant, was wiped from the map. This brings us to the central question. Who were the Sea Peoples? The inscriptions name at least 9 different groups, including the Peliset, the Checker, the Sherden, the Luca, and the Ikwesh. The truth is, they were likely not one unified people, but a loose confederation of different groups, all thrown into chaos at the same time. For decades, scholars have debated their origins, leading to several compelling theories. Theory 1. The Aegean origin. This is one of the most popular theories. Many scholars identify the Peliset with the Philistines, who settled on the coast of Canaan after being defeated by Ramesses. Archaeologically, their pottery, weapons, and architecture are strikingly similar to those of the Mycenaean Greeks. Perhaps they were Mycenaeans themselves, driven from their homes by war or famine, who turned to piracy to survive. Theory 2. The Anatolian and Western Mediterranean connection. Other groups seem to point elsewhere. The Luca are almost certainly from the Luca lands in Anatolia. The Sherden, who served as mercenaries for Egypt even before the main invasion, wear distinctive horned helmets. These helmets are almost identical to bronze statues of warriors found on the island of Sardinia. Could some of the Sea Peoples have come from as far west as Italy? Theory 3. The systems collapse. But perhaps the most convincing theory today is that we are asking the wrong question. Maybe the Sea Peoples weren't the cause of the collapse, but a symptom of it. Evidence from tree rings and lake sediments suggests that the entire region was hit by a severe, centuries-long drought around 1200 BC. This climate change would have led to widespread crop failures and famine. Famine leads to unrest, internal rebellions, and refugees. The intricate trade networks for tin and copper would have shattered. Without bronze, you can't make weapons or tools. The great empires, already weakened from within, became easy prey for desperate, starving peoples on the move. In this view, the Sea Peoples were everyone and no one. A cascading wave of displaced farmers, former soldiers, and pirates born from a world that was already dying. So, who were the Sea Peoples? The answer is likely a combination of all these theories. They were a perfect storm of climate change, migration, and warfare that brought an end to an entire age of man. The mystery endures because they left no writings of their own. Their story is told only by those they attacked. The collapse of the Bronze Age was a profound reset for humanity. But from its ashes, a new world was born. The secretive palace economies were replaced by more dynamic seafaring traders like the Phoenicians, who would give us our modern alphabet. Out of the Greek Dark Ages, the polis, the concept of citizenship, and the foundations of Western philosophy would eventually emerge. The storm of the Sea Peoples wiped the slate clean, and in doing so, paved the way for the world we know today. The story of the Sea Peoples is a sobering reminder that even the greatest civilizations can fall. What do you think is the most compelling theory behind their origins? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And for more journeys into history's greatest unsolved mysteries, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching.